It's the Locker Room Podcast. We got Sam Pierce. We got Jack Sullivan. It's a normal Tuesday for us, Sam. We're back
Normal
at it.
Tuesday.
You and me.
We call it Super Tuesday is what we call it around these parts, Jack. It's Super Tuesday.
You've never called it that. Don't lie. Don't lie, bro. You've never called it that.
Listen, don't. You don't have to do that to my dreams. You don't have to do that to my dreams.
Well, we talk about dreams, Sam. I think we've seen a few playoff dreams and Super Bowl contending dreams end this past weekend. It was week 13 in the NFL. We saw the 49ers pulled up without Jimmy G, Brock Purdy under snap, under center, and he did a good job to bring his team to win. Who knows what the future holds? I think an NFL career is snapped. It's done. Baker Mayfield, I don't think you're going to be on the team anymore. We're going to get into it all this show. We got NFL, we got our usual AO, and NBA, and then we're going to end it off with Hit the Shower. So let's start with our headlines today, Sam. Week 13 NFL. What are your biggest takeaways from what we just had this past Sunday and Monday?
Week 13 was a weird week in the NFL because we learned a lot, we lost a lot, and a lot of people hurt a lot. With the 49ers, of course, I think their Super Bowl chances are done. Can they still maybe win a playoff game, possibly two, and get to the championship? I guess maybe, because when your defense is as good as they are, they did a phenomenal job outside of really one play to Tyreek Hill in the fourth quarter in the first play of the game. I mean, the defense was lights out against that high-powered Dolphins offense. But you got to have a guy at quarterback. I don't think you're going to win with a rookie quarterback in Brock Purdy, not substantially. So I think their Super Bowl hopes are gone when I thought they were relatively high, especially in the NFC with everybody else being kind of down this year. But that hurts. I think a bigger takeaway, though, is the Bengals are legit. And they started off slow. Joe had the appendicitis in training camp. He missed part of training camp. They've had injuries. Jamar Chase has been hurt. Joe Mixon is still hurt. Jamar Chase just came back on Sunday and had a terrific game. But I think they're legit Super Bowl contenders again. They're rounding into form and they're playing their best football at the right time. And that's pivotal to go on a playoff run. You're a Giants fan. All it takes is playing the right football at the right time, and you can hit that momentum. But I think because also of the Lamar Jackson injury, the Bengals I believe they're tied with the Ravens in the division right now, and they got a couple key divisional games coming up. But, man, I think the Bengals are going to end up taking this division, especially with Lamar's injury and all that uncertainty in Baltimore. So I think they're just as live as anyone, especially beating the Chiefs and beating Mahomes for a third straight time. It's impressive. I think they're a well-rounded team, good running game. Defense has picked it up. The offensive line has finally started to figure it out. I think it's good things for the Bengals.
Yeah, with the Bengals, their losses are bad losses, but their wins are awesome. Key wins against the Dolphins, key wins against, like you just said, the Chiefs, Titans. Those are big wins, but the Cowboys loss, that one's tough to swallow. But
it came Cowboys
early. The Cowboys are the Cowboys this year. They're in pretty much the same situation. Their wins are huge.
Yeah.
But their losses hurt. Like that Packers loss is probably their worst loss they're gonna have all year.
Yeah.
And I'm with you on the Bengals a little bit, but I think the AFC is so unpredictable right now that we just have no idea what's gonna happen. The Chiefs can wake up, the Chiefs have been the best team. Yeah, I mean, they're still the favorite. The Bills are still, that team that everybody's like, all right, are they still a juggernaut team? So we're kind of see that they blew out the Patriots and they're blowing out these teams, but they're losing like the teams like Miami still. Yeah. And the thing with Miami, I think that game against the Niners, that's a game that just is tough because it's something McDaniel had to do for the first time, was play a former team and that kind of messes with your head a little bit. Like if you're going to play, like if you're playing in high school and you go to play against your ex's team, bro, you have something in your head. Like you got something big in your head. You're like, all right, I got to show out. I got to pull out my best moves and all this stuff. Yeah. And I feel like that's a little bit what McDaniels was, but I think he had enough pride to say, and I saw clips of this online. He's like, he said to Tua, like, I effed up, man. Like some play calls, like that's on me. So I think that McDaniel owning that is huge. But I still think the Dolphins are still a scary team in the AFC. Bengals, Chiefs, the Bills, unpredictable. You have no
Yep.
idea what's going to happen, and we have to just wait to see playoff time. With the Ravens, Tyler Huntley didn't really come alive until later in that last drive that they had to score.
He's not gonna
Um,
get the job done.
yeah, I don't think that's going to really help them. But Mark Andrews has all the optimism in the world that these guys have found their rhythm. And I thought that was kind of a weird
No.
soundbite he had post game. He goes, I think guys are finding their groove and we finally found a rhythm. How are you going to find your rhythm if you don't even have your starting quarterback? You're
And they
going
barely
to
scored
a
on offense, so I don't know what rhythm they found. They don't have
yeah, I don't
weapons, Jack. They don't have weapons. And when it comes down to it, it's going to be the same old story with the Ravens. They might win one, or they'll be um, in and out, because they just don't have the adequate weapons to win in playoff time. They have a pretty good defense, but their defense fails them constantly late in the games. And you can't win if Devin Duvernay and Deshaun Jackson are your top receivers. I'm sorry. You're not gonna win. You can't win with that. Mark Andrews has had actually a pretty down year, and he's been in and out, in and off IR and been hurt a lot of the year, and hasn't played that great when he was there. He had a couple bad drops as well. So I just don't see it for the Ravens. I think it's the same old story until they actually get Lamar number one receiver.
yeah, it doesn't make any sense that he would just come out and say that. It's
Yeah,
I'm glad that he said we'll take that win. Obviously, you're going to take that win against
always
Denver. Denver's just being a huge disappointment this year.
awful.
It's it's horrendous, but I mean, a win's a win, yeah. But if you're the number one team in your in your division and you beat a team that's last place in their division, yeah, you better take that. You got to
Yeah.
take that. You got.
Mm.
It's
They
just
barely won against a plummeting Denver Broncos team. It's just nothing to be happy about. But Jack, college football playoff rankings have been announced. First, let me ask you: do you think they got it right?
I do. I'm just as a fan. Here's this. I'm glad that Alabama didn't sneak in for the first time in a while because you want to see somebody else there. I'm
I
glad
think only twice.
TCU. Yeah, and I think I'm glad TCU didn't get punished so bad just because they had a late overtime loss to Kansas State. Kansas State has had some really good wins this year.
Top 10
And
team, and they already beat them this year. So,
yeah, I mean and they have a Heisman candidate that we'll get to later, but
mm,
like I feel like that team is very fun to watch. They are explosive. They have a good defense. They have a quarterback that is willing to put everything on the line for his team. And I think when you're looking at the wins and losses that each team has, like TCU is up there with great wins, and that loss hurts. But the only one that like I'm kind of like head scratching at is
mm,
I feel like Michigan is you know should be number one after how bad they beat Ohio State, but Georgia is going to be how they are. The Georgia's a juggernaut team in the SEC.
yeah.
But I just feel like Michigan's resume after beating Ohio State, I know some of the non-conference games were kind of little softies. Put some
Mm.
soft serve ice cream on there. That's just kind of, to me. I think Michigan should be the number one team. But if you have no, if you're Georgia and you've had a clean slate, they almost lost to Missouri, which is that was crazy. That at what they were losing to Missouri for so
That's
long,
SEC football, man.
so
Anybody can
that's
get got in SEC, man.
but I'm glad also. I think they made the right decision with the USC. Yeah,
And everybody
that's
knew.
a
Everybody
that's
knew.
a bad loss. To lose to them twice, that's a bad loss.
Got blown out. And I do again think they got it right. I'm also happy that they didn't penalize TCU because they had the hardest strength of schedule of anybody this year. They were 5-0 before the championship game against ranked teams this year. Nobody else, I think, even played more than 3 games. So you have to put them in. There's definitely an argument for Michigan to be number one. I wasn't mad that Georgia stayed at number one just because they've been pretty dominant the whole season, and they absolutely manhandled LSU pretty badly in the championship game. So I think that solidified them just a little bit. Happy to see Ohio State get in. Glad they didn't try to sneak Alabama in, especially over TCU. Alabama played two really good teams on their schedule this year. They lost to them both. Um, you can't do that. I don't care what your pedigree is, what you've done. You can't do that and still make the playoff. Alabama just hadn't been there. Even in the wins that they did have, they barely beat my Longhorns with a backup quarterback. Again, just not impressive. They just weren't impressive all year, and I'm glad the committee didn't reward them for what they've done in the past and held them more accountable for what they've done now. I love these matchups. I think of these two matches, Georgia and Ohio State, and then also TCU and Michigan, either team can win. Because anybody who thinks Georgia is just going to stomp Ohio State, I think they're sadly mistaken because Ohio State matches up well with Georgia just by the simple fact that their offense is high powered and high flying, and that's where Georgia struggles, which is on the back end. You try to just run the ball on Georgia, it's not going to work. But they can be beat deep. And Georgia's offense just hasn't been consistently impressive to me. Outside Brock Bowers, nobody on that offense scares you. I'm never going to be afraid of Stetson Bennett. Their running back is decent, but he's no household name. And they don't have a big time receiver. They don't have a George Pickens. So I think Georgia can be got. I truly do. And then Michigan TCU, I think Michigan will win, but TCU is so live, man. They know how to win these close games. They're battle tested. They've got a Heisman guy in Duggan, who's awesome, bro. I mean, he's their engine. He almost carried them to a victory over Kansas State on that last drive in regulation, Jack. 95 yards rushing on one. He couldn't complete a pass. He just kept running. I mean, he put him on his back, literally, Jack. Like that's insane. I saw the graphic and I couldn't believe it. He drove them down the field with his legs. And they weren't like all designed runs. This was scrambles, him just making something like to send the game to overtime. Like that's impressive. Michigan better come, they better come to play. I think they played well. Again, I do think they will win. If I had to pick, I'm picking Michigan. But like I said, either matchup, I think you can make a case that any of the four teams could win. But if we do end up Michigan, Ohio State national championship, the ratings are rooting for that.
So Sam, are you a Bad Beats by SVP fan?
Yes, I have to watch SVP most nights anyway.
So yeah, so he had the Bad Beats on Monday night, and he showed Caleb Williams how the over under for rushing yards was 36,
and all the sacks,
and all the
57-yard
sacks.
run. Yeah.
He was already at 70 at halftime, and then didn't get sacked so much.
I feel bad because I think they would have won that game. He doesn't pop that hammy. I really do.
They
the 3. And he's on one leg. He couldn't move. He literally just couldn't move.
That being said, USC, the light is out. USC is out. USC is out. The stupid light. Hold on. Can you see the nails? USC is out. I know the light was blocking it. Hold on.
It's a move you just made. Painting.
Ooh. I didn't pay. I had a Sharpie here, and I was like, that's easy because that's exactly what Caleb Williams did. And let's transition to the Heisman. With Caleb Williams, he is the front runner for this Heisman Trophy. He's gonna win, but I think that was such an unprofessional move to do that with your nails, dude. That's so stupid.
Yeah, stupid, but unprofessional. No, all's fair in football. People write stuff on their towels, cleats, whatever. It's just the cameras caught it. Way worse things are done. It just looks bad because he lost. Looks really bad because he lost.
Yo, this looks really bad because it's permanent Sharpie too. Dang.
He said, but that leads us to our favorite segment of the day. Hit it.
Hey, yo, what the?
I have something on my chest that I have to get off. We were just talking Heisman. And speaking of Heisman, the finalists are Caleb Williams, of course. Max Duggan, after what I saw in that championship game, okay. Stetson Bennett. Stetson Bennett. How is Stetson Bennett a Heisman finalist over Hendon Hooker, who won SEC Player of the Year and in 3 less games, threw for only about 100 less yards, more touchdowns, ran for more touchdowns, and had a higher QB rating. How? I mean, I know Georgia's the #1 team in the country, but you don't just give them a default Heisman person just because they're the #1 team in the country. I think that's ridiculous. I think it's wrong. Well, there's no reason why Hendon Hooker is not a Heisman finalist. I think that race, the criteria for that race confuses me because again, it's kind of like the NFL. Is it just the best quarterback award? I mean, just make it that. We already have a Maxwell Award. All quarterbacks, I think, is a bad look. Blake Corum had a fantastic year. There were a lot of other fantastic people. All quarterbacks is bad in itself. But to not have Hendon Hooker there, I have no problem with CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud was phenomenal most of the year. That's fine. But Stetson Bennett does not belong there. I think that's pretty clear. That's pretty plain. He's gonna come in last in the voting. We know that. And I just think I couldn't believe it that not only does he have a season-ending injury and his team's hopes, crumble within his hands, but then to add insult to that and not even let him go to New York to be a Heisman finalist, I think it's wrong. I think they got that wrong.
Yeah, and I'm with you. Imagine this trophy, right? Like you said, there's the best quarterback award that you mentioned, but there's this Heisman Trophy. Heisman Trophy should be the almost important guy on your team that has performed the best out of anybody in the country. So let's say this. You remove Caleb Williams from his team. His team is not going to beat. You remove Duggan from his team. Trash. And you remove Bennett from your team. Not trash.
They'll be fine.
They're still fine.
Might have one loss.
But we've seen, and now we've seen with Hooker lose them. Now they can't win. And you look at Hooker's resume, beat Alabama, like that alone is saying like, wow, that's a pretty big deal. And then all the statistics that you said, I don't think they got that part right either. I'm with you. Hooker deserves to be there because if you remove him from the equation, the team is not good. Yeah. And I think that's where you're saying like but you can say that equation for some Heisman, like past Heisman winners, like Lamar Jackson. Remove Lamar Jackson from that equation when he was at Louisville. Louisville is not even in the conversation of anything that season. So that's why I think that with Tennessee having Hooker and them having a great season, that the loss to South Carolina stinks, whatever it is, Hooker still deserves to be there. And I'm so with you there on your AO. My AO is this. This team right here is a disgrace. North Carolina basketball was an absolute disgrace. Do you like my replica jersey from the freaking Jersey Shore, wherever I won it from? But it's a disgrace. You guys were #1 AP overall, and I think they're #1 overall because they brought everyone back, plus Nance, plus freshmen. And you have the same coach, you have the same players you had in the national championship, and you go on to lose 3 straight? 3 straight? Yeah. Come on now. Alabama, that 6 overtime game. Like, you're not giving me a lot to work with, guys. Like, and here's something that really irks me. There's no offense being played. It's just, hey, Caleb Love, chuck it. RJ Davis off the screen and roll.
Way too many shots.
Chuck it. Hey, let's do this. Chuck it. Oh man, Baycott's not getting the ball. Hey, let's get the All-American the ball.
Yeah, I can't believe they just don't go to him more.
They don't go to him enough, and it drove me nuts being in. Yeah, it just drove me nuts watching them crumble like this, and just seeing that loss to Virginia Tech was like a head scratcher. Like, really, we're gonna lose to Virginia Tech? Like, don't get me wrong, Tech has some unbelievable wins throughout the years. They're always surprising to beat somebody, but they got to figure it out. But and I still have high hopes though, because I'm gonna say during tournament time, they got seniors. You got veterans, and you need seniors to win, and you need veterans to pull out big games. You can't rely on just talent. You got to rely on each other. But right now, it's not looking like they have each other. They're just looking like pure talent on the court, and then the talent doesn't pay off. So that is my Ayo, what the F, North Carolina figure it out.
Yeah, they're off to a slow start, but again, it is still early. They're struggling, but I think because they have an older team and because they're a team that's very close together and very close to their coach, I think they'll pull it together and start rallying off some wins here relatively soon. And all that matters is you're playing your best basketball once you get around conference tourney and NCAA tournament time. So I think they will be fine. The ACC is always live though; it's always deep. So it's no guarantees, about how well they'll do in the conference, but I think they'll be okay. They got to go to Armando Bacot more. They have to. I think they're becoming a little too shot happy, a little too guard crazy. They need to kind of dial it back a little bit, get back to some fundamental basketball. But I think Hubert Davis will turn those guys around.
Now let's jump to our NBA section here.
There we go.
We got a lot of teams being very surprising. We got, players playing out of their minds. AD has been a crazy week.
He's finally back.
And it's great to see. It's fun to see him at a level where against the Wizards putting up 55 points. The Lakers are finding their groove.
This is the AD. The Lakers are starting to find it, Jack. The Lakers are starting to find it. He is. Jason Tatum's the MVP, though. Thank you.
Man. We can't do this now. That wasn't on the rundown, Sam.
Luka is playing. We're talking. Look at Luka can play phenomenal as he wants to. Mavs record is still buns. Jason Tatum has the Celtics with the best record in the league right now, MVP, and putting up crazy stats. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. Listen, the Celtics can get this figured out without Tatum, right? They can. I feel like they can win games without Tatum.
No,
they don't think they can win without Tatum at all.
At the clip that they're winning now, no.
I think they can still pull it together. I think they have another all-star on their team. Okay. Luka doesn't have another all-star on his team.
Oh, well. What do you want me to say? Life isn't fair. Okay. It's not fair. It is what it is. You don't get penalized just because you have a good team. Hey, man. Hey. Mavs end up a 7th seed. He ain't winning no MVP. He ain't winning no MVP. I like Luka, man. Hey, Tatum, baby. Bleed green.
I'm not saying Tatum is not in that conversation. I don't want that to be, not what I don't want people to think that I don't think Jason Tatum should have it. I just think as of right now, and I feel like if you listen to me talk about him every single week, you're thinking I'm all on Luka Doncic. I just think it's unbelievable just watching how he played against the number one team yesterday. Even though they didn't have Chris Paul, it's not like Chris Paul's locking up Luka. They were unstoppable against the Suns. A team, again, is number one. And Luka is getting more guys involved. Josh Green had a great game because Luka got him more involved. When Luka's on the floor, he's making plays. He's slowing down the game to his pace. Just because Jason Tatum had to drop 49 points in front of royalty, the Prince and Princess of Wales, which, by the way, when I was cutting that game, I had no idea who they were. I had to be told who they were. It's just and then they blew out, they blew out the Heat. But then all the Heat needed was to have Jimmy Butler on the floor for them to win in overtime. And Jason Tatum was a little more quiet in that game when Jimmy Butler was back.
Nitpicking games. Do you want me to go through all the games the Mavericks have lost? Because it's been quite a lot more.
All right. Well, listen.
Tatum and the Celtics have lost. They've lost quite a few games.
Right, but Tatum has an off night. They still have Jaylen Brown to help him out. You still have a lot of pieces around him. They have the best 3-point shooting percentage on their team, and it's not because Tatum is shooting lights out from 3. It's because the team is playing great team basketball. the Mavericks are playing good Luka basketball. Luka has Maxi
Sounds like you
Kleba
have
on
a
his
problem
team.
with the coach and the GMs. Sounds like you have a problem with the coach and the GM of Dallas. Jason Tatum doesn't
I
get
have a
penalized.
problem.
Jason Tatum doesn't get penalized because we're in a good system and playing good team basketball. No, still an MVP. Michael Jordan played in a great scheme, had an all-star right next to him. I think he still won MVPs and championships. So I think Magic Johnson was in a great scheme, great all-star right next to him. I think he still won MVPs too. So, I mean, I think Shaq won MVP. I think Kobe was with him, you know. I think he had somebody
Get that
that carried the
schmuck look
load.
off your face.
Just saying. That
Smack
doesn't
it out of here.
none of that is penalizing Jason Tatum. I mean, history shows. History shows it.
Yeah, and
Steve
also
Nash has
Mavericks
2 MVPs.
stink on the road. I'm looking at their away record. They're 2-8 on the road. They stink on the road.
They have not been that great of a team. Luka's been great. I like Luka. I do. He'll be second behind Jason Tatum.
I guess we'll see when it comes to that point. Almost averaging a triple double, by the way.
Nice.
Yeah, just putting that out there.
I mean, Russ
right,
did
so-
that 4 times, but hey, okay.
It was and Russ won MVP in a team that was a 6 seed.
See if Luka would be a 6 seed.
See that.
I don't know right now.
So let's go to some prizes here. The Pacers are the 5 seed in the East. The Kings are the 5 seed in the West. And the Blazers are in the playoff conversation. Do we think these teams are for real?
No.
Any of them? Not one.
Just regular season fool's gold. A couple of them may sneak in the playoffs. They are not legit. They're going to be in the play-in. I think those are 3 play-in teams. No, I don't believe in any of them. They're not going to make any noise. No, not at all.
Interesting. That is very, very.
What do you think? You think any of them?
I think out of those teams, just because of how well they're playing and how weird the East is, I feel like the Pacers are in it they're in it for the playoff, at least to like get into the, like you said, the play in.
Yeah, that's it. They could be playing.
Like contender wise, probably not. That's not even a thing. But they can make the playoffs. They can scare somebody in the playoffs. A fully healthy Pacers team right now is super young and agile, and
nobody at the top of the Eastern Conference. 4-0 sweep come to Boston.
I'm just saying they have had some great wins so far. They beat a Warriors team last night without Tyrese Halliburton, so that was a very good win for the Pacers. They beat LeBron. That was a great game-winning shot against the Lakers. I'm just saying that the Pacers have some good wins under their belt, and if they continue to play like this, they'll be okay. They have some of the worst differentials in those like top 8 teams, being the only team that's in the negatives. They're at according to ESPN like minus 0.9 differential, like that part is like but I
quite
think
a few times and that luck runs out.
yeah. So we'll see if that luck continues. The Kings, the whole light the beam thing, I think is helping them get some momentum, but again, I don't but that's my I'm going to stick to my surprise. I'm going to stick to my surprise team of the year is the Kings. They have good shooting. They have a very talented point guard. They have good pieces that like playing for their coach. And I think that they can still, be that team that I thought they were going to be from the beginning, Sam. And quote me, Sam. I remember saying they're going to be my surprise team that's doing very well so far. They're living up to that. And then I said the Nuggets were going to be the number 1 seed, and they're only 2 games away from that spot. But it is early. I'm just saying.
But they're doing good. I like that. Nuggets roster is very scary. Very deep team. Very scary. Nuggets are going to be a tough out for anybody. You don't want to see the Nuggets. It's a very scary team. Jamal Murray's starting to find it. They're coming. Yeah. They are coming. I love Bones Highland. He's the difference maker for them.
Yo, remember when we went back and forth and you said like any player you can name on the Nuggets, you have someone on the Warriors? Remember that conversation? Yeah. It's just I just like bringing it up when I'm ready. I just like when people know.
don't get how you were right. What was it that you were saying? What was the
that the
argument?
Nuggets were going to have that the Nuggets were going to have a better record this year.
You're not right. It's not even
It,
Christmas. It's not even
I know. I'm
Christmas.
just saying. So far,
Before
I'm right.
Christmas, my Celtics were out of the playoffs. We were in the NBA Finals last year.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Look,
Let's give
Sam.
it some time.
But Sam. All I'm saying is, to this
Let's give it
point,
some time.
I look right, and I like looking right, even to a specific time. So as of right now, I am right. That's all I'm saying.
Whatever floats your boat, sweetheart. Whatever floats your
Sam,
boat.
I just woke up. I'm not gonna give you.
I just woke up. You TV people, y'all get off like, what is it? 10 o'clock, 11
Yeah,
o'clock?
right, dude.
Us
What?
radio people in the trenches
Stop.
to the wee hours of the night. I ain't get home till
Stop it.
after 3.
Stop it. That's not true. I was out late last night. I was on SportsCenter. Don't discredit my workflow, bud. Don't discredit me ever. All right, let's hit the showers. I gotta take a shower. I smell.
It's time for Hit the Showers on the Locker Room Podcast.
Here, my hit the showers here is my big NFL take. And I don't want to say this, Sam. This is gonna hurt, man.
Say it!
The Cowboys are gonna win the Super Bowl.
Wow.
I know.
Well, I know that hurt for you to say that, but wow. I don't think they are. I'm not mad at that take, though. They are a good team. I mean, like they are a good team. It's not like it's a horrible take. It's not. I don't think they will because for Dallas, I got to see it to believe it. But I'm not mad at that.
Bro,
I'm not mad at that.
Because here's what I know is gonna happen in the next week. Odell's gonna sign there. He was at the Dallas Mavericks game last night. Their defense just looks impenetrable. I know they played the Colts and made the Colts look bad, but they're making a lot of teams look bad. They made the Giants look like frauds, which now they're starting to look like frauds a little bit.
No, man. Y'all are close in every game. Y'all they're gonna be okay at that.
I think that with the dual run game that they have and CeeDee Lamb and now in Gallup finally galloping up, it's scary to think. But I think that's my hot take of the NFL right now. So that's my hit the showers.
Not a bad take at all. I'm gonna go with my hit the showers. I just have to address the people being upset at Deion Sanders for taking this Colorado job. I hate what we do in the Black community that it's almost like we tear each other down. It's that crab in the barrel mentality, and it shouldn't be. Everything he said he was going to do for HBCUs in Jackson State, he did it. He brought more attention. He brought more notoriety. He donated half of his salary to upgrade the facilities at Jackson State. He left that place in a way better spot than he got it. And that's all you can really ask for. I mean, they had sold out games. College game day was in Jackson State, Jack. You know, these things aren't happening without Deion. So you should say thank you and be happy that they were able to have them for the time period they did. And now he gets to take this show on the road and go to Colorado. And people need to take a closer look. His mission, like he said, his purpose is still the same. His purpose is not based on a location. He's still doing he's still changing the narrative. An HBCU coach has never gotten a Power 5 job. And he's bringing guys along with him. I just don't think we as a community should ever be mad at that. We need to applaud Deion for what he's doing. And he's going to turn the Colorado around. I hope people know. Over 200 athletes have reached out to Colorado about transferring there. 200, with a good amount being 4 and 5 stars. They got NIL money coming through. You just watch, especially USC's leaving the Pac-12 to go to the Big Ten and everything. The Pac-12 is going to be wide open. Within 3 years, he'll win it. I'm telling you that right now. Within 3 years, he's going to win it. And he'll be competitive next year because, oh, man, the dogs they're going to bring in, you heard what he said. I come with my own luggage, and it's Louis. Like, if I was coming out of high school, man, if I was in the portal, I'm trying to go play for Coach Prime. Who wouldn't? But we got to stop this whole being upset at him for taking this job. This is a great opportunity. And what it's really going to lead to is within the next 5 years, he's going to have a marquee Power 5 job because I don't think people can really out recruit him and out talk him. And I'm rooting for Dion. I'm always rooting for Dion. Keep pushing us forward.
That's Dion. He brings his own luggage, and you can bring us anywhere you want to listen to us. We are on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. You know, Sam, we on your iPod Shuffle now. You know that we on this shuffle.
We're everywhere. We're
everywhere.
everywhere. Been a great show, brother.
That's a great show. That's the Locker Room Podcast. We'll see you next time.